Hello, hello, and welcome to episode 217 of the Compassion and Cucumbers podcast. I'm Christine.
And I'm Sam.
Here's what's coming up in today's show. In this week's Why Files, we'll look at why U.S. bird populations are declining faster in certain areas of the country.
In our Noteworthy segment, we'll discuss both the good and the bad of recent additions to the United States Farm Bill.
And in our main topic, there's some good news in the vegan space that we wanted to share because we always need good news.
Yeah, we do.
Do we have anything, before we jump into the episode, do you have anything that you want to share? Thank you for being patient with us. Last week we put out a replay because I had to get a colonoscopy.
She did.
Yep, and I urge everyone out there, if you are 50 or older, to please schedule a colonoscopy.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I will be doing that myself in the not too distant future.
Yes. That went well.
It did.
The drugs are great. Did not remember a thing once they gave me whatever that magic elixir is.
Yes, and as she was coming out of it, she was even funnier than she usually is, which is saying something.
It is saying something. Mm-hmm. Well, with that said, let's just jump into this week's Why Files.
All right.
This comes to us from Live Science. Birds are declining faster in 3 U.S. hotspots, new study finds. Researchers have revealed that North American birds are declining at an accelerating rate in 3 regional hotspots associated with intense agriculture.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Bird populations are in free fall across North America. In some hotspots, their decline is accelerating, a new study reveals. Wild bird numbers declined at an accelerating rate in California, the Midwest, and the Mid-Atlantic between 1987 and 2021. Across these hotspots, losses were associated with high-intensity agriculture, according to the study. Although the study published February 26th in the journal Science shows a correlation between declining bird populations and intense agriculture, it doesn't definitively prove that agriculture is driving the increased decline or identify which agricultural activities may be responsible. However, signs of intense agricultural activity consistently proved to be the best predictor of increased bird decline, which mirrors similar research conducted in Europe. The researchers also found that declines were stronger in warming areas, suggesting that rising temperatures due to climate change were driving some bird disappearances. Birds perform important roles in the ecosystem, including spreading plant seeds and keeping insect populations under control. For decades, scientists have been concerned that bird populations are falling due to human activities, both in North America and globally, a plight shared by many other animals. What's special about the new research is that it reveals how the decline in North America has accelerated since the late 1980s. We're not talking about the decline, but the acceleration of the decline, study leader Francois Leroy, a postdoctoral research in macroecology at The Ohio State University, told Live Science. We see that this decline is getting faster and faster with the intensification of human activities. Leroy and his colleagues mapped bird decline by studying data from the North American Breeding Bird Survey, which is an annual surveying effort by professional biologists and skilled amateurs to monitor bird populations across North America. Side note, I was once involved in one of those surveys.
Were you really?
Yes, and it was very interesting.
Oh, that's super cool.
Mm-hmm. As part of the survey, participants walked along specific routes and recorded birds that they find.
I love that. I want to do that.
The researchers focused on specific routes with enough data to measure the rate of decline over 35 years. These routes were primarily in the U.S. and included 261 bird species. Across all of the species surveyed, the overall abundance of birds fell by at least 15%, with significant drops documented in about half of the species, and accelerating declines reported in about a quarter of the species. Common birds like red-winged blackbirds, house finches, and American crows were among the native species found to have suffered an accelerated decline. The study focused on the rate of decline in specific routes, so it's unclear how many individual birds were lost across the entire continent during the study period. However, previous research was found that billions of birds have disappeared in recent decades. And I think I've noticed that. in the springtime, in the morning, like what used to be kind of a cacophony of bird sounds is not anymore.
No, not to the same degree.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have noticed that over the past couple of years specifically, that we just don't have quite as many songbirds in our immediate area. Yeah.
A 2019 study published in the journal Science estimated that the North American bird population decreased by about 2.9 billion individual birds between 1970 and 2017. That estimate equated to a drop of 29%, which is almost double the 15% decline documented in the new study. However, the 2019 study also covered an earlier and longer time period where there may have been more severe losses. People only started surveying North American birds in the second half of the 20th century, but we've been killing them directly and indirectly for much longer than that. For example, commercial hunting by humans forced passenger pigeons, a species estimated to once have a population of 3 billion to 5 billion, to extinction in 1914. So what is causing the birdemic? The new study demonstrates that birds were incurring losses not just at the species level, but across whole families of species and across different habitats. To better understand the worrying trend, the researchers compared the bird data to potential contributing factors such as temperature change, rainfall, and land cover changes. The acceleration of bird decline coincided with large areas of croplands and high usage of fertilizers and pesticides, which are signs of intense agriculture. This tracks with research in Europe that has found that agricultural intensification has negatively impacted bird diversity.
I mean, that almost has to be a given, you would think. Yeah, because whenever you're talking about intensifying agricultural operations, you're often talking about deforestation. You're often talking about clearing land. You're essentially disrupting the natural habitats of an enormous number of creatures.
Yeah, and the pesticides used.
Oh my gosh, yes, of
those
course.
get into the food chain.
Yep.
Birds eat now insects that have died from the pesticide use, and then they get poisoned.
That's right.
It's a domino effect, right?
For sure.
Yeah. Intense agriculture can destroy, change, and break up traditional bird habitat. The amount of land used for farming in the U.S. hasn't changed that much since the 1980s. Agriculture has become more consolidated in that time, with a decline in mid-sized farms and a shift to larger farming operations. But there's slightly less land being used for farming overall. Thus, the bird losses can't be blamed solely on the amount of farmland. However, they could be the result of changes in farming practices. Leroy said that from the new study, it's not really possible to say which specific practice in agriculture is the worst for bird losses. However, he noted that from previously published studies, it seems like pesticide use is one of the main suspects. A 2023 study published in the journal PNAS found that the use of pesticides and fertilizers was the key to agricultural intensification being the main pressure behind most bird population drops, particularly in birds that feed on invertebrates. Most disappearing bird species depend on insects for food, and insects are in steep decline, as they are killed through the use of pesticides. Birds also consume pesticides directly.
There you have it.
Yeah. Leroy said he would like to see what farmers think about the correlation between agricultural intensification and bird losses. He and his co-authors also noted in the study that agriculture warms landscapes by reducing the amount of vegetation and altering its properties, which may then amplify warming impacts on birds. While the findings were mostly bad news for birds, there were some bright spots. For example, the researchers found some local increases in forest bird populations, which likely benefited from the reforesting of old farmland. There was also a small pocket of land just north of the U.S.-Canada border where the overall abundance of birds increased, the only region in which this occurred. However, Leroy said he had no clue why this was the case. It doesn't mean that Canada is doing better, because if you look at other regions in Canada, there were also some significant declines, he added. So if you've noticed a decline in mainly songbirds in your area, it could be because of the intense farming in your area.
Yeah. I mean, I really think that there's a pretty direct correlation.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, in all science, correlation does not mean causation. But
Right.
I think in this case, there's a pretty strong case to be made that the heavy use of insecticides in heavily farmed areas has a distinct effect on the bird population.
Yeah, and it is interesting that less farmland is being used to farm
Yes.
in our country.
Yes.
And more farming is done intensely
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
which is more dangerous than using up more land, frankly, because of the use of pesticides and with animal farming in particular, they're just cramming as many animals as they possibly can into as small of a space as they possibly can. And now you've got their waste to deal with and tons of other environmental impacts.
Indeed.
Aside from the cruelty involved.
Yes.
So there's a little update on the birds. Farming is not good for the birds.
No, it's not. It's not. And let us be clear, intensive farming is not good for the birds. Okay. As always, we are not talking about, small family farms.
Yeah, we're not talking about small produce producing family farms at all
not
here.
at all.
No. Yeah, this is intense farms where they're using lots of pesticides and lots of chemical fertilizers and such. With that, should we move on to our noteworthy segment?
I think we should.
All right.
So today we're going to do a little bit of talking about the Farm Bill.
Yes, which still hasn't passed, by the way.
Right. It has been forever at this point.
Yeah.
But this article is coming to us from Animal Wellness Action from author Wayne Pacelli. The battle over animal welfare in the Farm Bill. A ban on greyhound racing was added to the Farm Bill, but there's continuing debate over a range of other provisions, both good and bad. This week brought major developments in Congress on the long-delayed Farm Bill, and I want you to hear directly from me about what happened inside the House Agriculture Committee, the good, the bad, and what comes next.
Give us the good news.
First, the good news.
Oh, good.
During the committee's markup of the Farm Bill, formerly titled the Farm, Food, and National Security Act, H.R. 7567, lawmakers adopted our Greyhound Protection Act as an amendment. This provision, formulated by Animal Wellness Action and our partners at Grey 2K USA Worldwide, will prohibit greyhound racing nationwide, ban U.S. gamblers from betting on foreign races, and block the export of American dogs for racing abroad.
That is good news.
It's great news.
Yeah.
This is the first ever vote in Congress to phase out greyhound racing in the United States, and it passed with bipartisan support by voice vote.
I wonder how they're going to enforce the ban on gambling on foreign greyhound racing.
I'm imagining that will be complicated.
Yeah.
But that the will is there is great.
Yeah, that's good news.
For decades, greyhounds have endured life in stacked metal cages for up to 23 hours a day, only to chase a mechanical lure at such a breakneck clip that catastrophic injuries result. Broken legs and backs, cracked skulls, paralysis, and death have all been documented at greyhound tracks. The industry has been in free fall as a result of unrelenting advocacy and exposure of inhumane practices. Once the sixth largest spectator sport in the country, greyhound racing now operates at just 2 tracks in West Virginia.
Wow, that's surprising. It was once the 6th largest spectator sport?
Yeah.
That's surprising to me.
To me, too.
Yeah.
We took a giant step in accelerating the decline of this enterprise by working with Florida voters in 2018 to ban dog racing in that state, which at the time had 12 of the 18 operating tracks in the nation. And you can draw a straight line from the election results on Amendment 13 in Florida, with 69% of Florida voters choosing to protect greyhounds, to the vote after midnight Wednesday to secure language in the bill to ban greyhound racing nationwide.
Yeah, that's a good sign. Now, if we could link their love of the dogs and the greyhounds, to farmed animals,
that would be wonderful.
we'd have something.
Yes. We are deeply grateful to Representative Salud Carbajal, Democrat of California, the committee member who offered the Greyhound Protection Amendment, with the active support of Representatives Nach Zun, Representative of Iowa, and Dawn Davis, Democrat from North Carolina. We are also grateful to Representative Randy Fine, Republican of Florida, for co-leading this bill in the House with his 3 above-mentioned colleagues who serve on the Committee on Agriculture.
It's nice to see some bipartisanship
Absolutely.
on that,
Gotta love it.
Yeah.
The passage of this pro-animal provision in a committee whose Republican members looked very skeptically at the most mainstream animal welfare policies shows us one thing. There is now a clear national consensus that greyhound racing is archaic and inhumane. But while the midweek vote on greyhounds is a moment to celebrate, the Farm Bill contains other provisions that are anything but good policy for America.
Yeah, I had a feeling. Because I already read the article, but
Yeah,
I knew it couldn't be anything but, it couldn't be just good news.
of course not.
Yeah.
The bill approved by the Agriculture Committee by a vote of 34 to 17 contains one provision in particular that we unalterably oppose. Language to return us to the cage age era of animal agriculture, vitiate states' rights, and undo the votes of 10 million Americans by nullifying Proposition 12 and Question 3, two landmark farm animal protection laws. And it will prohibit any other states from adopting these kinds of strong farm animal protection laws.
This is horrible.
This is horrifying.
The amount of work that has gone into ending the caged bird,
Yes.
caged animal farming practice could just be wiped away just with a stroke of a pen.
Indeed.
This is really bad news.
Let me be clear. We will never support a farm bill that dismantles these voter-approved animal welfare standards and tries to put animals back in immobilizing cages. We are also alarmed that the committee did not readily adopt the core provisions of the FIGHT Act, our latest effort to eradicate dogfighting and cockfighting crimes, including our exports of hundreds of thousands of fighting animals to other nations. That legislation was offered as an amendment to the Farm Bill by one of the FIGHT Act's original co-sponsors, Representative Shri Thanadar, Democrat of Michigan. Along with Mr. Thanadar, the FIGHT Act's Republican and Democratic co-leaders, Representatives Don Bacon, Republican of Nebraska, and Andrea Salinas, Democrat of Oregon, and co-sponsor Representative Carbajal, all spoke up strongly in support of the amendment. Unfortunately, Agriculture Committee Chairman Glenn G.T. Thompson, Republican of Pennsylvania, used scaremongering tactics and an obvious misreading of the law and the fight provisions to strip out 3 of the 4 amendment's components using a procedural maneuver that had not been invoked by the committee in years. Chairman Thompson falsely claimed the FIGHT Act would add farm animals to the Animal Welfare Act for the first time. In doing so, he put himself at odds with 15 sheriffs and district attorneys from his own congressional district who asked him to support the FIGHT Act, as well as the Pennsylvania Sheriff's Association, Pennsylvania District Attorneys Association, Pennsylvania Chiefs of Police, and nearly 1,100 other endorsing organizations nationwide, representing law enforcement, commercial agriculture, and animal welfare.
And you can see why he would have done that if they banned, like, say, cockfighting, for instance. Well, that sets a precedence to give chickens rights,
Certainly.
right?
Sure.
Protections for chickens. And they don't want to go down that slippery slope because, he's got the farm vote in his pocket and he's going to vote against anything that would steer things in that direction.
But one provision of the FIGHT Act did survive and get adopted into the Farm Bill, and it's valuable. In the end, the committee approved language to ban gambling on animal fights, both in person and online. In an era of rapidly expanding digital gambling, this measure will give law enforcement another powerful tool, disabling online animal fighting gaming websites, and also, when authorities raid a dogfighting or cockfighting pit, charging the gamblers surrounding the fighting pits with potential felony offenses for their illicit wagering on staged animal battles.
But this would all be made easier if they just banned the fighting
Yes,
itself.
without question.
Yes.
But there's no good reason for 3 other crucial provisions to be omitted from the Farm Bill, unless you're a cartel or gang member or some other enthusiast of dogfighting or cockfighting. We'll continue making the arguments with lawmakers on the merits to restore these provisions of the Fight Act, including forbidding the smuggling of fighting birds through the U.S. Postal Service.
Oy, oy, oy.
Disappointingly, this farm bill does not yet include the SAFE Act, which would end the live export of American horses for slaughter abroad and codify a domestic ban on butchering horses for consumption. Last year alone, 25,000 American horses were shipped to foreign slaughter plants, primarily in Mexico, with the meat exported overseas. We should not allow kill buyers to steal American horses by tricking horse lovers into handing them over so they can cram them into a truck and send them on a 1,000-mile journey to some horrid slaughter plant in Mexico, all to satisfy economically unmeasurable niche markets of diners in old world enclaves. This trade represents a negligible contribution to the global food supply, and the horses don't deserve this fate. They were brought into this world for other, less utilitarian and pain-inducing purposes. We'll be pressing that case, too, in the weeks ahead. To be sure, the fight over the Farm Bill is in its early stage. The legislation must still go to the full House of Representatives, and then the Senate will have its say. We'll work every angle to defend Proposition 12 and Question 3, pass a Fight Act that denies animal fighting commerce and crimes, advance the anti-horse slaughter legislation, and secure final passage of the Greyhound Protection Act. This is going to be a tough legislative battle, but your support gives us the ability to stay in the fight. The House committee vote this week showed both the pathways and the potholes on the road to legislative progress. But we've faced these fights before, and together we've prevailed.
We can look to Canadian advocates on the shipping of horses to slaughter. They've had a lot of luck protesting there against the same practice that happens in Canada. Mm-hmm. So if you're interested in joining that fight for the horses, you can look to Canadian sources. Just a little aside.
And there you have it.
Yeah. And this Farm Bill, there's so much where I have to keep our eye on this, because the Farm Bill is one of those bills that they sneak stuff into because it's huge.
Massive.
Yeah. The Farm Bill, if you had it in paper form, would be probably about a foot thick.
At least.
Yeah, and they sneak so much stuff into this bill, it's absurd.
If we go back to our friend Aaron Sorkin for a moment, because I have to do a West Wing reference here.
Okay.
This is what Aaron Sorkin, and I'm sure folks in government would refer to as a Christmas tree bill. Mm-hmm. So you start off with the actual intent of the bill, but then people just start hanging amendments on it all over the place. And some of those things may have a great deal to do with health and food safety in the United States, and others will have absolutely nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
So it's a very, very complicated process.
It is, and I think that we can take a little hint from the fact that they've renamed this bill the Farm Food and National Security Act, which kind of tells you that they're going to be sneaking some stuff in there. Right?
Yeah, it sounds that way.
Yeah. So we'll keep an eye on it.
We will.
We'll let you know what's going on with that bill. It's kind of hard these days to get news about what's actually happening on the floor of the House and the Senate.
It is. Yeah.
They're not exactly as forthcoming as they've been in the past, but we'll try.
Yeah.
It's time now for our main topic,
which is some good news.
Yeah, can we have some good
space?
news?
Yes, let's have some good news.
For crying out loud.
We love that.
All right.
This coming at us from Green Queen. Texas's plant-based meat labeling law has been struck down after a court finds it unconstitutional.
Yay!
A federal district judge has ruled that Texas's law requiring plant-based meat companies to use terms like meatless violates the First Amendment and cannot be enforced.
Yes.
In a major win for the plant-based food industry, a federal court has struck down a Texas law that imposed labeling restrictions on meat alternatives. The law was first introduced in 2023 and stated that plant-based meat products must carry disclaimers that they don't contain meat in order to prevent misleading consumers.
They're always worried about those consumers being misled by plant-based foods.
Indeed. But in a ruling in late January, a judge in the district court for the Western District of Texas said the restriction was unconstitutional and violated, quote, the rights of plant-based manufacturers to make accurate statements to consumers under the First Amendment.
That's great.
Even in situations not apparent in the record where a plant-based food product label misleads consumers, existing law would prohibit those labels, except in possibly a small minority of circumstances not made apparent to the court, explained Judge Robert Pittman. Madeline Cohen, Associate Director of Regulatory Affairs at the Good Food Institute, said, "This ruling is a win not only for plant-based food producers, but for Texas consumers, who are more than capable of making their own choices at the grocery store without the need for protectionist regulations." SB 664 was introduced by Senator Charles Perry and signed into law by Texas Governor Greg Abbott 3 years ago, requiring vegan food producers to use clarifying terms like analog, meatless, plant-based, and made from plants, among others. The law sought to address what it described as an issue of unclear labeling of meat-free products similar to animal proteins. Under the rules, these descriptors must be used immediately before or after the name of the product, in close proximity to the name, and within the same phrase or sentence containing the name. To comply with this law, producers of meat alternatives would have had to redesign each label to conform to what advocates argue was a vague standard for any product that could reach Texas consumers. This would have prevented them from communicating the nature and contents of their products in a way that complies with federal law and impacted their ability to sell them on a nationwide basis. It's why the Animal Legal Defense Fund and GFI filed a lawsuit against Texas on behalf of vegan food producer Tofurky and the Plant-Based Foods Association shortly before the law came into effect. The plaintiffs alleged that the law violated the Dormant Commerce Clause, the Due Process Clause, the Supremacy Clause, and the First Amendment of the Constitution. They further argued that it imposes additional burdensome, impractical, and unclear disclosure requirements on companies that go beyond federal law. Pittman ruled in their favor on 3 separate grounds. The first was that the packaging wasn't misleading to consumers. Statements that are only potentially misleading, by contrast, are safeguarded by the First Amendment. Plaintiffs have demonstrated that Tofurky's labels clearly indicate its products are meat substitutes that are plant-based and vegan, and thus are not misleading, the judgment reads.
Go, Judge Pittman.
The products also did not fail the Central Hudson test, a reference to a Supreme Court ruling regarding commercial speech and the First Amendment. Finally, the judge said SB 665 isn't facially enjoined, since it goes against First Amendment rights. Even in situations not apparent in the record where a plant-based food product label misleads consumers, existing law would prohibit those labels, except in, possibly, a small minority of circumstances not made apparent to the court, the ruling stated. The law is invalid in a substantial majority of all applications and is appropriately enjoined facially. Instead of making it easier for shoppers to purchase the food items they want, Texas attempted to manipulate the market in favor of animal products by applying a different set of rules for plant-based meat options, making it more challenging and costly for these foods to reach consumers in the state, said Michael Swistara, staff attorney at ALDF. The court's ruling rightfully levels the playing field and follows the trend of similar laws being struck down or read to be unenforceable against plant-based producers. It is not only a win for plant-based producers, but also consumers who are seeking foods that meet their personal needs and preferences and align with their values, he added. Labeling has long been a thorny issue for plant-based alternatives globally, with advocates of such restrictions suggesting that these products can mislead and confuse consumers. But study after study has proven that this is far from the case. In the U.S., research has revealed that 75 to 88% of people are clear that plant-based meat doesn't contain animal protein.
Kudos to that judge for looking at the packaging that they provided as evidence and saying, I don't know what you're talking about. Anybody can tell that these products don't contain animal meat.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Federal courts have recognized that the likelihood of consumers being confused is highly improbable and stretches the bounds of credulity. Texas isn't the first state to have imposed such restrictions or have them struck down by a court. Arkansas, Louisiana, Missouri, and Oklahoma have all introduced similar rules and faced legal challenges by Tofurky and ALDF. In 2019, a court halted Arkansas's enforcement and called it an unconstitutional restriction. Similarly, judges in the Missouri and Oklahoma cases ruled the laws failed to apply to plant-based producers. And an appeals court ruled that Louisiana's law could only be applied when a company is attempting to intentionally trick consumers into thinking their products come from animals, a far-fetched scenario that rendered the law irrelevant. States shouldn't be picking winners and losers in the marketplace, and this law did exactly that by restricting truthful, non-misleading commercial speech, said GFI's Cohen. As the court recognized, consumers have never been confused by plant-based meat labels, and this patronizing law was an attempt to solve a problem that didn't exist at the expense of consumer choice, free speech, and the free market. Texas is already facing a similar lawsuit over its ban on cultivated meat. Last month, a judge denied the state's motion to dismiss the case, allowing it to move forward to the discovery stage. Across the Atlantic, plant-based meat labeling has become a hot topic in the European Union once again, but the bloc was unable to reach a consensus on a ban on the use of meat-related terms, so the jury is still out.
This is great news.
It is fabulous news.
And I am so tired of the meat industry trying to use the argument that consumers are confused.
What they're really trying to say is that consumers are stupid, which is so not the case.
And, how would meat eaters feel if they were aware that the producers of the products that they're buying think they're too stupid to figure out what's in a product?
Yes.
It's the lamest argument.
It really is. And thank heavens the courts are starting to, wake up to that. It's great.
That's great news. And more great news out of Indonesia. This comes to us from scoop.co.New Zealand. Indonesia bans elephant rides and Bali-based Mason Elephant Park announces end. Yay. I don't know if you've ever seen... There are tourist organizations or whatever that will bring you to these places where you can ride elephants or meet elephants.
Yes.
If you ever are going abroad anywhere where something like that is taking place, please do your due diligence in researching those facilities because a lot of them are not on the up and up. And those animals are totally being exploited. So in this article, Suzanne Milthorpe, head of campaigns for World Animal Protection, said more great news for captive elephants in Indonesia as Mason Elephant Park has announced they will end elephant rides following the Indonesian government banning elephant riding.
That's awesome.
Yes. We congratulate the Indonesian government on taking this world-leading step to safeguarding the dignity of wild animals. In December of 2025, the Indonesian Nature Conservation Agency called for respect for elephants and for tourism attractions to shift away from elephant riding. The ending of elephant rides in Indonesia sends a strong signal to the wider tourism industry that we're entering a new chapter of more responsible wildlife tourism.
That is great.
This wonderful win for elephants comes after years of tireless advocacy and on-the-ground engagement, including the 10,000 plus Indonesians, Australians, and New Zealanders who signed the petition calling on Mason Elephant Park to end elephant riding. So yay, yay.
Yes.
Yes.
That is a wonderful, wonderful piece of news.
Loving the good news. Good news.
And finally,
It's a little song about good news.
okay then. And finally, we're going to take a quick look at the 8 cities with the best vegan food
Yes, but
that aren't
yes.
LA or Portland.
They're not LA and they're not Portland.
From soul food in Atlanta to fine dining in Tel Aviv, these underrated cities are quietly building some of the world's most exciting plant-based food scenes. This is coming to us, author Avery White from Veg Out magazine. When people ask me where to find great vegan food, they expect me to say Los Angeles or Portland. And sure, those cities deliver. But after years of traveling for work and pleasure, I've discovered that some of the most exciting plant-based eating happens in places that rarely make the best vegan cities lists. These 8 cities have surprised me with their creativity, accessibility, and sheer deliciousness. Some have deep cultural traditions that naturally embrace plant-based eating. Others are experiencing a renaissance driven by passionate chefs and changing demographics. All of them deserve a spot on your travel list. Ready to expand your culinary horizons?
I am.
Number 1, Tel Aviv, Israel. Tel Aviv might just be the vegan capital of the world, and most Americans have no idea. With roughly 5% of the population identifying as vegan, the city has developed an infrastructure that makes plant-based living effortless. Nearly every restaurant offers vegan options, and dedicated vegan spots range from casual hummus joints to upscale tasting menus. What sets Tel Aviv apart is how veganism intersects with Middle Eastern cuisine. Dishes like sabish, shakshuka, and countless meze plates translate beautifully to plant-based versions. The street food scene alone could keep you eating for weeks. Have you ever had freshly made falafel at 2 a.m.? It's a spiritual experience.
I have not had freshly made falafel at 2 a.m.
I haven't, but I would be up for that.
I've had freshly made falafel.
Oh, yes.
But
not at 2
not
a.m.
at 2 a.m.
No.
And you might be asking yourself, who's traveling to Israel right now? Who's supporting anything having to do with Israel right now? But let's remember that restaurant owners in Israel are not the problem.
Let's remember that the people of Israel are not the problem.
Exactly.
Please. Yes. Let's remember.
It's their government.
That's right.
It's their government.
The world political scene, it's governments playing games. It has almost nothing to do with the everyday people of any country who is in the midst of it. Number 2, Berlin, Germany.
Yes.
And of course, I'm going to take a moment right now to bemoan the fact that Christine and I were supposed to go to Berlin last July, and we decided not to.
Yep.
Berlin's vegan scene grew out of its punk and activist roots, and that rebellious spirit still infuses the food. The city offers everything from doner kebab shops serving seitan shawarma to Michelin-quality restaurants pushing the boundaries of plant-based fine dining. What I love about Berlin is the accessibility. Vegan options aren't relegated to specialty restaurants. They're woven into the fabric of everyday eating. Corner bakeries stock vegan pastries. Neighborhood cafes serve oat milk without an upcharge. The normalcy of it all feels like a glimpse into the future we're building.
Yeah, and I think you'll find that a lot of places outside the U.S. that vegan options have just become something that you will find in almost every restaurant.
In a lot of places.
In almost every cafe and bakery. We're just so far behind the times.
We really are.
With this.
Yes. But there is hope because the next city on the list happens to be in the United States.
Yes.
And that city is Atlanta, Georgia. Atlanta's vegan scene is rooted in something deeper than trends. The city has a long history of plant-based eating connected to health movements in Black communities, and that heritage shows in restaurants like Soul Vegetarian, which has been serving the community since 1979. Today, Atlanta offers everything from upscale Southern cuisine at Slutty Vegan to Caribbean-inspired dishes and Ethiopian injera platters. The food here has soul in the truest sense. It's comfort food that nourishes both body and spirit. When was the last time a meal made you feel genuinely cared for?
When was the last time a meal made me genuinely feel cared for?
Well, you cook for me just about every day, so I have that experience every day.
Aw, isn't that sweet?
I do.
That's really sweet.
I do feel like you're caring for me when you make food.
I think it was probably the day I came home from the hospital after my procedure, and Sam made me some vegan mac and cheese.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
On a side note, they mentioned Slutty Vegan.
Mm-hmm.
The owner of Slutty Vegan, she just recently filed for bankruptcy.
Oh, no.
But have no fear. She was also just cast on the Real Housewives of Atlanta.
What?
Yep.
That's hysterical.
I know. So she'll be all right.
Which also falls into the good news in the vegan space category.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're a Real Housewives fan.
Okay. Number 4, Chiang Mai, Thailand.
Oh,
That's so on my bucket list.
I know.
Thailand is big on my bucket list.
yeah, a friend of mine lived there for a while, and he said it was the most beautiful place he's ever been.
Yeah. Someday, I swear, someday.
It's very, very hot there, though.
Yes. Thailand's Buddhist traditions have long embraced vegetarian eating, and Chiang Mai has become a hub for plant-based travelers. The city hosts a vibrant vegetarian festival each year, and J restaurants serving Buddhist vegetarian food are everywhere. Beyond traditional Thai cuisine, Chiang Mai has attracted a community of health-conscious expats and digital nomads who've helped build a thriving cafe culture. You'll find raw food restaurants, smoothie bowls, and innovative fusion dishes alongside authentic pad thai and green curry. The prices make it possible to eat out for every meal without guilt. Number 5, Mexico City, Mexico. Mexico City surprised me. I expected to struggle to find vegan options, but the reality couldn't be more different. The city's food scene is exploding with plant-based creativity, from upscale restaurants reimagining traditional Mexican cuisine to street vendors serving jackfruit tacos. What makes Mexico City special is how chefs honor culinary traditions while innovating. Mole sauces, tamales, and tlacoyos adapt beautifully to plant-based preparations. The city also has a growing health food movement with juice bars and organic markets popping up across neighborhoods like Roma and Condesa.
I want some vegan Mexican food.
Doesn't that sound great?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we are going to make burritos for supper.
We are.
Yeah.
So there we go. Next, one of my favorites. London, England.
London, baby.
London's vegan scene has transformed dramatically over the past decade. What was once a city of sad salads now boasts some of the most innovative plant-based restaurants in the world. From the Caribbean flavors of Eat of Eden to the fine dining experience at Gautier Soho, the diversity is staggering. The city also excels at vegan versions of British classics. Fish and chips made with banana blossom, full English breakfasts with all the fixings, afternoon tea with delicate sandwiches and scones. London proves that going vegan doesn't mean abandoning cultural food traditions.
It really doesn't.
It does not.
It doesn't. It doesn't here. It doesn't anywhere. No matter what your cultural background or what cultural foods you've had in your past that remind you of home and family and all that, there is a way to veganize it.
Absolutely. And yeah, go London. Because I'm always, every year when the best vegan cities come out, I'm always disappointed not to see London on it. Because I think as a vegan city, London is phenomenally underrated.
Yeah.
For city number 7, we're coming back to the USA and talking about Austin, Texas. Austin has quietly built one of America's best vegan food scenes. The city's Keep Austin Weird ethos extends to its restaurants, where creativity and quality trump pretension. Food trucks serve everything from Korean tacos to loaded nachos, and brick and mortar spots range from casual to upscale. What strikes me about Austin is the community. Vegans here aren't isolated. They're part of a broader food culture that celebrates local ingredients and bold flavors. The city's proximity to farms means seasonal produce is exceptional, and the chefs take full advantage.
Yeah, I think Austin is probably the only city in Texas that I have any desire to visit.
Yeah, I actually would like to check out Austin
Yeah.
at some point. And I've never had a deep desire to go to Texas in general, but
Yeah.
Austin sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
And finally on today's list, we have Taipei, Taiwan. Taiwan has one of the highest concentrations of vegetarian restaurants in the world, thanks to Buddhist influences and a strong tradition of Su cuisine. Taipei takes this foundation and runs with it, offering everything from traditional temple food to modern interpretations that rival any global food capital. The night markets deserve special mention. Wandering through stalls selling stinky tofu, scallion pancakes, and bubble tea feels like a treasure hunt. Many vendors offer vegetarian versions of classic dishes, and the prices mean you can sample widely without breaking your budget. Just the mention of scallion pancakes.
Oh, I know, right?
I love scallion pancakes so much.
And if you've ever seen like a food travel show where they hit all the like street food at night in Taipei, it's amazing.
Yeah. So we'll put that on the list, maybe for the same trip as Indonesia.
Sure.
Okay. Cool. These 8 cities remind me that vegan food isn't a limitation. It's an invitation to explore cultures, traditions, and flavors we might otherwise miss. Each destination offers something unique, whether it's the soul food heritage of Atlanta or the Buddhist traditions of Taipei. The next time you plan a trip, consider letting your stomach lead the way. Some of my most meaningful travel memories involve sharing meals with strangers, discovering hole-in-the-wall restaurants, and tasting dishes I'd never imagined. Where will your next plant-based adventure take you?
Ooh, I do not know.
I don't know either.
But I always let my stomach lead the way when we're traveling. It's always like, ooh, where are we going to eat?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because it's so different and you want to see what you can find.
And I think we get so used to being so limited in our options in terms of dining out in our immediate local area. There's just really nothing.
Yeah.
You know, that gets us excited to go out for a meal.
Right.
And so being in any place where vegan restaurants are easily accessible and are affordable and like there's just a range of options to choose from. It gets me really excited.
Yeah, it's exciting. Let us know where you have traveled.
Yes.
How far have you traveled?
How far have you traveled to get great vegan food?
Yeah, that's what I want to know.
I suppose for me, the furthest is indeed London.
Yeah, because when you were teaching in India, you weren't vegan.
I was not vegan when I was in India, but I was certainly vegetarian while I was in India for that 3 weeks, but I wasn't vegan yet. So,
yeah.
It's time now for our favorite portion of the show.
Must be listener shout outs.
It's listener shout out.
Just want to give a shout out to all my fans watching. I love you guys. I love you.
This week's shout out goes to friends. We have reached the end of our listener shout out list.
You know, it happens not often, but it has happened in the past, and it is oh so disheartening.
It really is. Yeah. So this means we need a call to action. We need you to let us know that you listen. So send us an email, a DM, a text. Tell us a little bit about yourselves. We want to shout you out and send you free stuff.
We do. We really do.
We really do.
Yeah. So if you listen and you haven't told us that you listen, shoot us an email or a DM. And, you know, it doesn't have to be anything big. It can just be like, hey, my name is so-and-so. I listen to the show and I love you guys so much. You're just amazing. And I would love a shout out and a swag bag. please.
Because we've got swag.
We do. We have swag, and we want to put it in a bag and send it to you.
We really do.
So that's your homework. Also, if you haven't, we haven't been really hyping it much, but if you haven't voted for us for a Veg News Veggie Award, I think time's running out on that. So
Yeah, I'm not sure what the deadline is.
I don't either. I don't know what it is. Should have been paying closer attention.
Hang on, let me find out.
It just seems like with everything going on in the world that it doesn't seem very important. You know, I haven't been like posting it on our social media. I can't. It's so hard.
Ooh, it's in the final week.
Okay, so
hang on a second. I am on the Veg News website. I have to accept cookies. Okay.
Oh, are they vegan
Ooh,
cookies?
I was going to say cookies sound good.
Yeah.
All right. So the 2026 Veggie Awards.
A few moments later.
Oh, polls close. Oh my gosh, they close tomorrow, March 10th.
Today,
I just saw it.
if you're listening to this show the day it comes out, today is the deadline to vote for us and anybody else you want to vote for the 2026 Veg News Veggie Awards.
Yes, and I'm not sure what time. I can't find a time, but
Yeah, I don't
polls
know.
close. Oh, here we go. Polls close March 10th. That is Tuesday, March 10th at midnight Pacific time.
Oh, okay. So if you're on the East Coast, you got some extra time.
Yes,
Yeah.
you do. So midnight Pacific time, Tuesday, March 10th.
And that's
your last chance.
That's the day this episode comes out.
That's right.
So if you're listening on Wednesday, I'm sorry. You're too late. You tried.
It's all good. It's all good.
And like I said, I haven't been hyping this up on our social media just because with everything that's going on in the world, it is so hard to do things like that. It's like this feels so wrong and unimportant when there's so much suffering going on right now.
Absolutely.
You know?
But at the same time, we do need to remember that tossing some light and humor and things like that out into the world is really necessary, perhaps more than ever.
I guess so. If you haven't voted for the Veg News Veggie Awards, they are fun.
They are fun.
It's fun to scroll through, find your favorite things, find your favorite people, find your favorite products, and vote for them. And there is they award prizes too. Like they pick certain people out of the voting.
Essentially, when you vote, you're entering a raffle for some pretty great prizes.
Pretty good stuff.
So yeah. So see, it's not all about us.
No, it's definitely not all about us. Although, be sure to vote for us.
If you feel so moved.
Yeah. I guess we'll just wrap this baby up. But before we go, be sure to subscribe to the show and leave a review on your favorite podcast app. And subscribe to our YouTube. I was just recently looking at some YouTube stuff, and it looks like about 45% of the people that listen on YouTube are not subscribed.
Yeah,
So
that's true with many YouTube channels.
Yeah, it happens. I mean, people are like, subscribe. Why subscribe? It just helps the algorithm, I guess. The more subscribers you have, the more they push your content. It's all a big game, and I really don't care. But if you happen to listen on YouTube, click the little subscribe button. Also, be sure and like and follow us on Facebook and Instagram because I post updates about the show. We post pictures about vegan food we find. We'll post occasionally, political stuff. I posted recently how this is not the time for advocates of any kind, any social justice issues, to be staying in their lane. We need to be vocal about all of the injustices going on in our world right now. And if you want to get news about upcoming episodes, you can do that by subscribing to our weekly newsletter at our website, which is compassionandcucumbers.com.
And with that, it's time to sign off. You have just listened to episode 217 of the Compassion and Cucumbers podcast, and there's nothing left to say but where cukes and compassion are always the fashion. On the podcast.
Thanks, James.
Have a great week, everyone.
We'll talk to you next Tuesday.
We love you.
We do. Take care of yourself and each other. Bye-bye. That wasn't planned.
The end.
Bird. Sorry. If you'd like to support the Compassion and Cucumbers podcast, well, you can do that by hopping on over to our Patreon page and becoming a patron. We have all the recipes from our vegan kitchen series up there, and we'll be adding some patron-only episodes in the near future. So thank you for supporting us at whatever level that you choose, and thank you again for listening to Compassion and Cucumbers podcast.